I wanted to tell you the story because it's a true story. It happened, I was in Seattle, Washington, and I was taking the red-eye flight, okay? You know the red-eye flight. You get on the plane at 12:30 at night and you fly overnight. Now you think you're gonna sleep. You go, wow, I'm gonna sleep on this plane. But I have a problem. I don't know if you've been on a plane lately. If you have, you know that airline seats are FAA regulated to be 16 inches wide. That's what the requirement is now, 16 inches for a seat. Look at me, people. I'm 44 in the waist. Even if you divide for front and back, 44 don't go into 16. Do you know what I'm talking about? I can't put both cheeks down, okay? You know, I'm gonna say, no, I'm not going to be able to sleep. And so I was exhausted. I finally got home to my home port, Tampa, Florida, got in my car, drove to Lakeland, Florida, where my wife and I have a little house. I was absolutely exhausted. So what did I do? I went right to bed. Went to bed, fell asleep, 8:30 in the morning, slept all the way till 12:30 at night. Now you have to understand, I need to tell you this. I take a lot of medications. Okay? I take 15 pills because of my heart condition. I take 15 pills every day. Now, if my wife were here, she would be in the back. She would put her hands up. She would say, you tell them the truth. Okay, here's the truth. I do take 15 pills every day. 3 of them were given to me by doctors. 12 were given to me by people like you around the country who said, if you'll take this, you'll get better, okay? That's the deal. I have a friend, Gordon Douglas. He gets these, he gets shark cartilage tablets. Have you heard of shark cartilage? He buys them from a Canadian veterinary supply house, okay? Yeah, you think Canadian meds are cheap? Try Canadian veterinarian meds. They're much better, okay? Shark cartilage, and he sends them to me. Is the shark cartilage helping your heart? I don't know. I am swimming faster than I've ever swam before, and when I eat, my eyes roll back in my head, but unless you get the Discovery Channel, you wouldn't get that. And so anyway, so I take that. I have 2 ladies from the essential oil companies, the 2 major essential oil. I know you're in the room. I smell thieves oil, okay? I know you're here. Okay, great ladies who make me pills. They actually get this. If you're in this, you know this. They buy empty pill capsules. They put droplets of ancient biblical oils in there. They send them to me through the mail, which I believe is a federal offense, okay? And I take them. I don't question it. I can't pronounce any of the names of the oils. In fact, the only oil name that I know is I know that both of them put 3 drops of frankincense oil. Have you heard of frankincense? Okay. I have too. My background in school, I majored in Greek and philosophy and religion, so I know a little bit about frankincense. From the Christmas story, we know gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Frankincense is an oil to prepare you for your burial. Which kind of bothers me that they're putting that in my Get Better oil. I asked my wife, I said, why do you think they're putting frankincense in my oil? She said, they're hedging their bets. I said, what do you mean by that? She said, think about it. It's kind of like the person who goes to the veterinarian who's also the taxidermist. That way, either way, you get your dog back, you know? And so that's the concept. So anyway, the story is, I had flown this red-eye flight. I fell asleep. I didn't wake up until 12:30 at night. I missed my 9 o'clock in the morning pills. I missed my 9 o'clock at night pills, and it freaked me out because I know that my heart is going to be off the chain real quick. I quietly got out of bed. I didn't want to wake up my wife. I love my wife. That's the kind of husband I am. I got out quietly, went into the kitchen, didn't even turn on the light because the light could shine into the bedroom and wake her up. I didn't want to wake her up. That's the kind of husband that I am. That's the way I roll. That's how I do it, okay? And so I opened the refrigerator door just to have enough refrigerator light to begin to take my 15 pills. Now, I'm telling you right now, you can't take 15 pills at once. I've tried. I take mine in like 3 groups of 7. And so, not a big math crowd right here. Woo, go homeschool. And so, I start taking my pills. In the taking of my pills in the semi-darkness, I look down. Apparently, I have dropped 2 pills on the floor. Now, we have young kids at our house. We believe if something falls on the floor, you have a short amount of time, a window of time in which to pick them up, and they are still considered clean. Are you with me? At our house, that's 45 minutes, okay? And so I reach down, I pick up the pills, dust them off, pop them in my mouth, swallow them down, went back, slid into bed as quietly as I could because that's the kind of husband I am. And I'm laying there trying to get back to sleep. But I'm so tired and my body clock is off. Have you ever been so tired you can't sleep? What is the deal with that? Where's a medical person? Is there a doctor or a nurse in here? Anybody? Nobody will claim it tonight, will you? Okay, right. I don't understand this. How can you be too tired to sleep? It makes no sense. I've never been so hungry I couldn't eat. Right? I've never been, I have got to pee so bad I can't pee. You know what I'm saying? I said that last night in St. Louis. An old guy shouts out, well, you've never had a kidney stone. And so that's what he said, okay? And I'm exhausted, so I'm laying there trying to go to sleep. Now, I've heard about people who count sheep, okay? You know, they count sheep. I don't know how to count sheep, never raised sheep. Again, a little bit of that religion background. And just so I like to go through the books of the Bible. I like to just count them. You know what I mean? Count the books of the Bible. 1, Genesis, 2, Exodus, 3, Leviticus, 4, Numbers. You know, do all 35, 40 of them. And go through that. Not a big theological crowd either. Put that down. Okay. And go through and as I'm going through the books of the Bible there, I went quickly. I started to get indigestion. I went quickly from indigestion to an upset stomach, quickly from an upset stomach to pain. Now, when I reached pain, I realized that I should not suffer alone. Can I get a witness, man? Can I get a witness? Okay. And I turned to my wife, the love of my life. We have been married 33 years consecutively, okay? And I turned to her and I shook her arm and I said, baby, wake up. I'm not feeling well at all. To which my wife, the love of my life, my childhood sweetheart, opens one eye and says, roll over and go to sleep. You'll feel fine in the morning. Let me say, that was not the level of care I expect after 33 faithful years. And I started to get mad. I started to get angry. And I said, nope, not going to do it. What would Jesus do? I thought he would send her to hell right now is what he would do. She'd be gone. You know? No. I said, Jesus would give her a second chance. Can I get it? Yeah, you know what I'm saying. Okay. And so I thought about this and I said, I have got to put this in a way. I've got to wake her up in a way that she can buy into having empathy for me. Now, some of you are saying, Mike, you sound like a counselor background. No counseling background at all. But my wife was. My wife has her bachelor's degree in counseling and her master's degree in orchestral conducting. My wife is a female orchestra conductor. I know it's impressive, but talk about unemployable. There it is. Okay. But I'm not bitter. It was $120,000 that one day we'll be glad we're paying for. And so, anyway, she used to wake me up at all hours of the night when she was pregnant. My wife was infatuated with our child's kicking. And she would wake me up in the middle of the night and say, baby, feel this. She would grab my hand and she would put it on her stomach. And she'd go, wait. And I would wait. And she'd go, okay, wait. And about 20 minutes later, she'd go, there, did you feel that? And I would always go, oh, wow, that was amazing. But I'm going to be honest with you. I'm probably going to get kicked out of the men's club for saying this. I never felt nothing, not a zip, zilch. But I always pretended I did. Why? Because I loved her and I loved the child, okay? I think it ought to be reciprocal. I reached over, I shook her arm. I said, baby, wake up, feel my stomach. Something is kicking. To which she opens up one eye and says, quit whining. Out of the mouth of a Christian woman. Now I'm mad. Now I'm laying right over on my side of the bed, right there against I'm just talking to myself. I'm not whining. I know when I'm whining. I'm a man. I know how to whine. We were trained in it when we were young. I know how to whine. I'm not just going to get better in the morning. I know when I'm going to get better in the morning. I'm not going to get better. In fact, I hope I die. I hope I die to prove to you and your mother. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore. I got up, I got dressed, I got in my car, drove down to the emergency room. They took me right in and started scanning my body with an ultrasound machine. You know those machines that look inside you. They're asking me questions. Mr. Williams, have you had an operation recently? I said, no. Last operation I had was 27 years ago. Why do you ask? And he turned the screen toward me and he moved the probe right in here. He said, Mr. Williams, if you'd had an operation, we'd almost believe that somehow they had inadvertently, accidentally, of course, left 2 sponges in you. There are 2 sponges, medical size, 6-inch medical. Don't get ahead of me. You already know more than I knew at the time. 2 6-inch medical sponges in your intestinal tract. The young doctor leans over and he says, one of the sponges looks like a dinosaur. Okay? Don't get ahead of me. Don't get ahead of me. They do a little more scanning, then they left the room. They went out to that, you know how they have it in the emergency room? They have that island of computers out there where they go out and look up on Google to see what they think you might have. And of course, I'm on Obamacare, so I get a free second opinion from Bing. And so, anyway. When When they went out there, I got out my phone, I called my wife, I woke her up for a third time. I said, I'm not just whining, I'm not just gonna get better in the morning. I have 2 sponges in me, 6-inch sponges in my intestinal tract, and one of the sponges looks like a dinosaur. To which my wife, the love of my life, 33 years, says to me, we went to the dollar store today. Have you ever had somebody join your conversation that had no idea what you were talking about? I said, baby, wake up. I'm at the emergency room, the ER. I am here. 3 doctors are in the room. I have a T-Rex in my intestines. I could care less where you went shopping today. She said, I'm not asleep, silly. We went to the doctor today, and your middle son, Coleman, with his dollar, bought 4 little green pills. When you throw them in water, 6 minutes later, they expand to 6-inch foam dinosaurs. He lost 2 of the pills. I said, I will call you back.